Hey guys, now everyone talks about living your best life abroad, and it seems so luxurious and wonderful, and it's like you just get on a plane and your life starts.
People think that you just sell all your belongings, hop on a plane, and show up in Spain, but it's not like that. So for today, we decided to bring in an expert, the person who helped us get our visa, to explain exactly what it takes to get a visa to move to Spain.
Hi, I'm Cliff.
And I'm Cheryl.
And this is Closer to Happy.
We recently relocated to Spain to design a more balanced life. The person who helped us get here in the first place is Juliana from your Spanish visa. And we thought today it would be a great idea to bring her on and talk about some of the misconceptions people have, some of the things people need to do to prepare to move to Spain, and a lot of other questions that people have asked us over the last year or so.
Welcome, Juliana. Listen, I have had myself a lot of misconceptions about visas. What are the most common ones that you hear that you scratch your head when people ask you this?
Hey guys, happy to be here. So I think one of the misconceptions people have is like that if you have money, you can just buy your way in. Or that you just, okay, I just gather my things and I move to Spain and I start my new life there. And no, it's not like that, because Spanish bureaucracy is not like, okay, you have money, you pay for things, and then you move to Spain. It involves a long process. It involves thinking before what type of visa is best for you, how can I move it, how long will it take me to go there. So that I think that's the most misconception thing. It's like, because I think most Americans have a great customer service. They have, and it's really good. But in Spain, it doesn't work like that. You need
We can vouch for that.
You can vouch for that.
Yes, you need to prepare things with time. Not only your paperwork, but your mindset.
You know, it's interesting because we, when we applied for our visa, it did take a lot. There were a lot of steps. We had to gather so much documentation, which you helped us with. And honestly, I just don't think I could have done it on my own. No. There was no way.
And I think people underestimate how much it really matters to be able to communicate clearly, to be fluent in Spanish, to understand the way that the bureaucracy works here, and to navigate that. Because when you're coming from the outside and your Spanish is not perfect, it is really challenging. So you were a blessing to us, Giuliana.
Yeah.
Yes, it's difficult. Also imagine that you are planning your moving, international moving, and then you also need to figure out the documents that you need. Once you fill that first step, okay, and you say, okay, I'm ready. No, because some visas require an appointment. It's like, okay, now I need an appointment. So the timeline starts like not being super linear. It's like a roller coaster.
Juliana, a question that comes up for us, honestly, all the time, and this was one of the biggest challenges that we had, was the timing, right? There was such a delicate dance of timing, because once we had our appointment, we got our visa quite quickly. And at that time, that visa was good for 90 days. We had to get in the country.
Yes, that's correct. Well, we always advise clients to start the process around 6 months before the moving date. Why? Simply because first you need to gather all of your documents, and remember that, for example, for a non-lucrative, you need to do everything back home. You cannot start the process already in Spain. So the gather documentation process takes time. Imagine that now, I know that in the US with the shutdown, it's taking more time than expected. Then you need the appointment. And yes, LA consulate now is not working so well. And I just have a word for you. It's just patient. Being patient is the best, because if you log in and you cannot find an appointment on a Monday, it's like, okay, I give up. It is not the visa for me. No, please continue trying, because that will happen to you once you are also in Spain. Because here you need to change your mentality. Okay, maybe I don't find an appointment today, but maybe next month, or maybe I try every day logging in, and then I join a community like Facebook groups that are sharing their experiences. Okay, I found one at 1 a.m. I found one on a Sunday. So starting with time will help you to avoid these problems while organizing your moving, because yes, your visa is approved and you have 90 days to enter the country. Organizing your luggage, figuring out where you want to finally live, because maybe your idea or your story or something happened that you want to change cities, and you need to be prepared with that. And time is the only tool that we have.
The peace of mind from having someone help you is really worth, acknowledging.
I don't think we could have done it. I honestly don't think we could have done it on our own, because there were so many other, it's not that you're not capable of doing it. And I know there are people who are going to chime in and say, I did it. It was a total piece of cake.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, good for them.
You're smarter than you are.
Yeah, but it's also because you're doing so many other things. You're getting your house ready. If you're selling it, you're renting it, you're downsizing, there are a million other things that are all happening at the same time. And to be gathering all of your documents, making double, triple sure that you've got everything and then having it, if you need it translated, apostilled. I mean, so many
Oh yeah,
things
that process right there is the whole thing.
Putting it in an in order was a big deal, that just alone.
In order that the consulate wants it, because they want it the way they want it. Even if you think you have your way of doing it, they may not be the way they want to do it. So it really helped us.
It was, I just don't think, I think I would have given up. Juliana, do you have a lot of people give up? Have you had any clients that have just said, you know what, it's just too hard?
Yes, maybe not just they give up, but they want to stop the process, they want to pause it because of the wrong reasons. It's like because it's taken much time than expected. And I understand, but that's when the human parts appears from our side, because it's like, okay, don't give up, it's just patient. You have all the documents, you have the funds, you have the time. You need to continue searching for it, because it's not going to be easy. I don't know. I know that on Instagram, Pinterest, you see like the life in Spain that is amazing, and it is. It's a really good quality of life. We can go to that part if you want a little bit later. What is going to change with your life? But the previous part, yes, it's overwhelming. So I had clients that they couldn't find an appointment, or every day they will send me emails with screenshots, or okay, I cannot find an appointment. And yeah, that's what I keep insisting. Okay, don't give up, don't give up. I know that it's not easy.
We were frustrated in the beginning. I mean, because we had been going through an Italian citizenship process for 4 years.
We already had PTSD from that.
We did have PTSD from it.
And we still do, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's still not done.
It's still not.
But we had some familiarity with it. And this is where it goes back to that question of the timing, though, Juliana. It's so many people are they're not able to get a visa appointment, but they have their house up for sale, or they don't know if they don't put their house up for sale, and then they get that visa appointment, and then they get the visa in a couple of weeks in some instances, and they've got to move in 90 days.
Got to move in 90 days, yeah.
Like what do you advise there? What do you advise people to do?
Well, first, they need to think when they want to move. Okay, I want to be there in May next year. I want to be there in August. First, avoid August. It's not the best month, because Spain is closed, like the whole country. Some of the offices are not working properly. Consulates take more time, like more than 3 months to process visas. So think about that. Okay, it's 6 months before. What I need to do is, first I need to sell my house. Okay, but if I sell my house, I'm not going to have my property here. Where am I going to live? I've had I've had clients that were living in an Airbnb in America. They were waiting for the appointment and they were waiting for the resolution while they were in an Airbnb apartment. Super stressful, but you need to first, like checkbox, okay, I need to sell my property. Okay, when? Okay, I should start now. Maybe I sell my house soon, but maybe it takes months. And in the meantime, you start organizing your paperwork, but you need to have like a date in your mind. Otherwise, it's too general and you don't start. You postpone it.
Let's talk about the different kinds of visas and why you would decide on this one versus that one and how this works.
First, you need to think about how will I make my money. If you have passive income, savings, you cannot work remotely, or just you want to live on a sabbatical, you should go to the non-lucrative visa that you need to start everything back home. You go to the consulate back home, and then you arrive here when your visa is approved. If you work remotely, you want to continue working, you're on a working age, you don't want to stop, and then you want to live here while continue working remotely, you should go to the digital nomad visa. Or maybe you think, okay, I want to study Spanish, like a master's degree. Maybe the student's visa is the right path for you.
I think we have so many people ask those questions.
Yeah.
And
And then what are the pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to figure out what's best for you.
yeah, and I was surprised, Juliana, when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you have a client that was like 30 years old that came in on an NLV. And I've never even heard of that. I
Yeah.
always thought it was a bunch of oldsters like us.
Is he like a tech billionaire or something?
Maybe. Well, that's another misconception, that people think that the non-lucrative is just for retired people. And it's not 100% sure. But it's not 100% true. Because if you are in your mid-30s, but you don't work remotely and you want to live here, the non-lucrative is a right path for you. Yes, you need to show savings, show funds, and you need to really prove that you're not going to work in Spain. But it's super possible, and a lot of people have moved in Spain with that type of visa.
Wow. Okay. I had no idea. I had no idea.
What's the minimum savings you have to have that they feel comfortable letting you get a visa to come in?
Yeah, the law says that for one applicant, you need to have 28,800 euros just for the entire year. And as now, 2025, because these numbers can change later.
And that should be in a bank in Spain, or that's just that's just what you need to have.
No, in your bank, in your country, let's say America. It's just in your in US dollars. You don't need to convert the currency. But yes, and I had this client that he was 30-year-old, and the only possibility for him was to resign his job to prove that he will not go into work, show his savings, and like a month after, because it was San Francisco, I remember, his visa was approved, and then he moved.
Wow, that's great. Good for him.
And he's staying on that type of visa. Because can you switch visas, or should you ever switch visas once you're here?
That's a great question, because the law says that, yeah, with the non-lucrative, you cannot work. But then there is a possibility, as for now, of course, because these can change, but there's a possibility that you can change your type of visa. Maybe you found a remote job, or maybe you found some company in Spain that wants to sponsor you. So yeah, it is possible. So don't think that, okay, I'm going to die with a non-lucrative and I'm going to work anymore and I'm going to live based on my savings. No, there is a possibility that you can change. Of course, it involves paperwork, again, a different type, because now you need to prove that you're going to work, you're going to pay Social Security in Spain, and you're going to contribute in Spain's economy.
Right.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that I wasn't really prepared for, I think, even though I've been hanging out in Facebook groups and stuff, was really having my arms around how much outside of that, you know, being able to demonstrate that savings, what other things I needed to have saved for. For example, you've got to buy private insurance when you come into Spain.
Yep.
And you've got to pay that insurance all at once up front.
A whole year.
Is there anything else, Juliana, that people should be really thinking about? Because I've definitely had people make comments and say, okay, I've got 28,000 euros in my bank account, but that's all they've got. And I don't know what they're thinking they're going to do for year two. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, if they have 28,000 euro in the bank and then they come here, but they're living off that, then all of a sudden that's shrinking. And how does that work?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you need to be careful to spend all of your money, and that's important before and when you're going to decide where you want to live. I know the Spanish dream involves like living your best life in Barcelona or Madrid, that are the capitals, but be aware of that. Okay, I want to be in Spain. You need to investigate prices, housing prices, because food is super affordable, best quality ever, but of course living involves spending money. So be careful when you want to live, houses that you want to rent or maybe that you can buy. And then remember that in 1 year or less than 1 year that you arrive, you need to renew your visa and you need to show funds again, and not just funds for 1 year. You need to demonstrate funds for the second and third year, because your visa will be renewed for 2 more if you're still in a non-lucrative visa.
Right. So how does that work? So, I mean, we're going to be dealing with that pretty darn soon. I guess we'll be talking to you about that.
Yep.
But how does renewal work? So yes, we're here for 1 year. We did all of the paperwork once we got here. It pains me to think about doing it again, but I guess we're going to have to. And so what does that look like? Is it easy to renew typically? Do people get denied?
I was going to say easier. I'm going to choose that word carefully because it is. Because you don't need to go back home. That is the first answer I'm going to give. You're going to do everything here because this is your new house. And you have 2 options, doing it in person or through a website. That this is the path I recommend. And it is easier because some of the things that you need to show, you already proved that. Your criminal record, you don't need to show that again. It was already proved in the first application. Yeah. You need to show funds. Some people open a bank account in Spain, or some people prefer continue with their bank in, let's say, America. You can use that. You can use your bank. The thing here is the timeline, because you need to apply 60 days before your expiration date that you have on your residency card, or up to 90 days after, already expire. But maybe the renewal takes 3 months, 4 months, and your residency is expired. So you are living here while waiting for the resolution with an expired residency card.
Oh, so what happens? What happens then? Because I have a friend that had this happen in Portugal and they can't leave.
They can't leave. That's the first answer. They can't leave. They should stay here until having the renewal approved, and then they need to do the residency card again, which we know it takes time. Right. So there's going to be a process that they need to stay here. And I know it's overwhelming because people need to visit families, some urgencies. So the first thing you need to know is, okay, I'm going to stay here. If something happens and I really need to leave, there is some things that you can do. The police officers will authorize you to leave for a brief period of time. But keep that in mind, that you should stay here as long as possible until having your renewal figured out.
Okay, well, that answers questions for us. Because
it's all about anticipation, right? So this is where your advice is so critical, because we need to know what's coming.
Yeah.
Yes. I know that, and the first year goes by really quickly Because you move here, you find an apartment, you do your residency card, and then all of a sudden you need to do your residency card again.
Yeah, it feels like that's
It doesn't
exactly.
feel like that.
It does feel like that. I was just sort of kind of counting backward and thinking, oh my gosh, like in 2 months.
Because April is
We
right.
need to, we need to start this process all over again.
It's like a full-time gig.
And getting that NIE, oh no.
But I think what's good is that you already know how Spanish bureaucracy works. So it's not going to be a surprise for you. You're going to laugh about this.
Yeah.
I don't hurt once.
You will laugh because you already know that it's that maybe they don't answer anything or you're waiting months. It's not like back home, the first application. Now you understand how Spanish people work because we need to adapt our mentality to theirs, not the opposite.
Okay, well that's good information.
Yeah. How much do the different regions in Spain vary in their visa rules? Is Spain one thing, no matter what region?
For example, in Valencia, it takes more than 3 months. So when you are here, and of course prices like housing, like renting something in Barcelona will be like 1,300, and maybe you need to pay like the whole year. But if you move to a small town, 700 maybe. It's not going to be your dream house. I always say this to clients, it's not going to be your ideal house, like the dream property, but at least it gets you started with the things that you need to do.
So let's talk about the most common mistakes people make in this process.
Now I can say that the most common mistake people make is using and trusting AI.
I know, no.
We have been burned by AI in other aspects of our lives. Yeah. It does make stuff up. It doesn't necessarily automatically replace your lawyer or anything. You really have to be careful, right?
Yes. And there's an important reason why you should not trust your ChatGPT AI. I use ChatGPT as well, but for this type of process, you cannot trust it. Why? Basically because if you are dealing with a non-lucrative, each consulate takes their own criteria. Right. Maybe in a consulate, they want the documents to be presented this way, but in another one, in the same country, they want things differently. So you shouldn't trust it. Or for example, for the digital nomad, it's not mandatory for all type of applications to have a private insurance. But the ChatGPT always says you need to have private insurance. So you ended up spending thousands of money on something that it was not mandatory to request.
Wow, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yes, you need to be aware of that. Also, the common mistake is trusting Facebook groups. In the past, I mentioned that you should have a community because of appointments and everything, but be careful because you can get real scared looking on Facebook group. People is so scary when dealing with this.
They are, and they knew it. And it kind of works both ways, right? You've got people who are really fear-mongering, who are saying it's really difficult, and I was denied. I mean, do people get denied? Have you had a lot of clients that have gotten denied?
It's not that common, actually. All of our applications were approved and will continue being approved. But that's why it is important to start with time so we can organize everything. But if one of the reasons that people are approved, are rejected is if they don't have the necessary funds or if they have criminal records in a 5-year period. So that's like the most things that can get you rejected. Some others, maybe it's not that clear for them and they will make you a requirement to clarify things. But the rejection is just those two because it's like the heart of the non-lucrative. You need to have funds because Spanish bureaucracy and Spanish officers will think, okay, they want to live on the state. So you need to demonstrate, okay, I'm not going to live based on I'm not going to use your public health system. I have my money, I have my insurance, I don't have criminal records, so let me in.
Yeah, I think, and then going back to the Facebook kind of source where everyone's an expert, yes, in Spanish law. You have people who tell you, their horror stories, and then you have all of these people who are like, I gathered everything myself in, 2 weeks and got my appointment and got my visa and moved and I'm living a fabulous life in Spain.
In jail.
Be careful with high expectations, and be careful on comparing to others. Your application is not the same to others type of application, whether you are in the same country or both of you have the same background. It's not going to be the same. So don't trust these people. Don't trust these fake experts that aren't really lawyers. Just they moved there, maybe they got lucky, and maybe for you it's going to take a little bit more time. But don't trust these people, not the people that say, okay, Spain is the best country, you're going to figured out everything. No, because maybe it's not the case. So try not to get your expectations really high, just realistically, knowing the good things and the bad things as well.
I think that's good. And the other thing too is I've definitely seen, especially on the Italian citizenship side, maybe less so on the Spanish, visa boards, but I've definitely seen people who worn off, like there are attorneys or companies that come on that say that they're right, that say that they can help you and, want to.
They're just hustling you.
But they're hustling them. Like, how do you differentiate? How do you know if a company is legitimate or if it's somebody? Because, you see that in all kinds of things. You see that in real estate here, where, an Idealista, for example, there are so many scammers.
Yeah.
And how do you avoid getting scammed?
Good question.
You need to first hire a specialist. Not all lawyers will do a proper job, because we have different type of lawyers, real estate, different type of process, not immigration lawyers. So be sure that you hire a specialist in the matter. And then, this is personal advice, and because I am one, you need to hire a lawyer. Because maybe you hire someone with experience, but maybe something happens with your application and you need to use the law to defend your case. And if you're not a lawyer, you don't know how to interpret the law. Right. So you need to make sure that you combine both things.
Yeah, I mean, you could really go down a pretty bad road, right? If you have somebody giving you bad guidance, or you're using ChatGPT or your Facebook group, you can really lose a lot of time. I think you can spend a lot of money, and you could find yourself in a lot of trouble, even if you get that visa, if you're not here on the right visa.
Yeah. I mean, it's like tax lawyers, it's so hard to find somebody that really knows the tax laws here. That's a whole thing in and of itself. And you get different answers from different people, even though they're, qualified lawyers. It's a confusing thing in general. So you really need to find people you can trust. There's a lot of questions that are going to come from this. We're going to have people chiming in and commenting. And I think what we should plan on doing is another video like this once we get everyone's feedback and we can respond to it, because there's going to be specific questions people ask. So we'll do another video with you like this, okay?
Go ahead and ask all of the questions that you have. Keep the question that you want to ask ChatGPT for you. Put it here, and in the next video, we're going to answer all of those concerns.
So if you are interested in connecting with Juliana and her team at your Spanish visa, click on the link below in the description, and guess what? She actually is going to give you a discount, which is pretty generous. Yes. Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you.
And once people do that, once they reach out to you, what can they expect?
Yes, once they click the link, first they're going to find an eligibility check. It's like super fast to fulfill. And once they have that, they're going to have access to their personalized dashboard with a dynamic roadmap, so they know the following steps. In addition to that, they're going to have a free consultation with me personally. So we're going to start talking about their process, moving dates, type of visas. So make sure to link the description below so I know they come from Cheryl and Cliff.
Well, listen, we didn't make this video to scare anyone, but we want it to be real, because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. And it was an emotional challenging process.
Moving is very emotional, and this is a big part of it.
Yeah, and we went through a lot to be here, but I've got to say it's been worth all of the angst. It's been worth all of the effort and all of the emotional challenges we went through and logistical challenges we went through. But I think it's important for people to know that it's not easy.
No, no. And you need help. And this is your help. It's not about just getting a visa. It's about building a new life. And that all starts here. And if this video has been helpful, please subscribe and like and come back for more, because we are going to do a follow-up with Juliana, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah?
Ciao.
Oh.